Hello everyone, it's Takasubuchi here, and for today, welcome back to another reviewing video, where this time I'm going to be reviewing the latest entry to the Kirby franchise, Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Now, Kirby is really no stranger when it comes to transforming into other abilities and such, but this time, the game took a bit of another new turn, in which I find the mechanic of a brand new transformation in this game a little more intriguing. And when I first saw this trailer back in the September Nintendo Direct, or I think it was, I was pretty interested in it due to the fact that it gives me a bit of an Odyssey style. Because from what I recall, I can't really remember the one time Kirby was in a 3D environment. Well, yes, I know the 3D games, yes, usually we've seen Kirby in 3D a lot, but I meant when it comes to its gameplay-wise. We usually see Kirby in like a 2D platforming fashion, but never really a 3D one, so it's a nice little refreshment for once for a while. Plus, this year is the 30th anniversary of the franchise, so I kind of just wanted to give out a little positive things to say about this latest entry. So I'm going to be talking about my thoughts and opinions, and keep in mind, throughout the video, there may be some spoilers down the line, so if you guys don't want to watch this video because of spoilers, then I highly suggest watching a video, like another review that is either spoiler free, or you can just get out of the video at some point, or you can just skip it if I'm that close to saying anything spoilerish. So with that, let's just not waste time, let's get started with the review. So, the first thing I want to mention is the fact that the story itself. The story is basically your typical sort of Kirby game. Kirby gets sucked into a vortex and then suddenly is in a brand new world, in which is, which is kind of why this game is called the Forgotten Land, but then again, I wouldn't really call it forgotten when you get sucked in the vortex and all. And the funnest thing about this, and the one thing I want to say about Forgotten Land, is how really cute it is. Like, yeah, Kirby is shown to be cute, Kirby is shown to really get cute and comfy at times, since, you know, it's a very simple game. And I know there are some fans out there that don't really appreciate the Kirby games being very simple. I mean, Kirby Star Allies was the last game I played, and many think that the game was way too easy and simple due to the life system and the amount of, you know, power-ups and abilities you can basically do in it. And while I don't really play any other Kirby games aside from Star Allies and Kirby Fighters 2, Forgotten Land definitely gives me a bit of a refreshment on how Kirby really plays. And now with the story and sort of, I guess, premise out of the way, the other thing I want to talk about is its gameplay. The gameplay plays very smoothly. Definitely your typical old Kirby game whenever you hover and such, but the one thing that keeps this game a bit more interesting is a brand new ability, like I mentioned in the beginning, and that was the newest Mouthful Mode. Mouthful Mode is a very, the way I want to describe it is bizarre and hilarious at the same time. Mouthful Mode definitely is one of the most funniest ones and has a lot of meme potential. But aside from the memes, Mouthful Mode definitely brings out a bit of a refreshment, because the thing that fans noticed when playing this game was the fact that there were less abilities in this game than usual Kirby games. I think from what I played, I counted at least 12 to 14 copy abilities throughout the entire franchise, which is a bit of a surprising one, given how Kirby throughout the years has been given a lot of different abilities aside from bomb and fire and such. But to me, I think it really makes sense for them to lessen it, as it gives more variety to the other Mouthful Mode variants. And yes, they are limited as well, but at least they can be fun, and also with everything else. Plus, you can solve a lot of puzzles throughout this entire 3D environment, and I do like how the gameplay, as you play and progress, the Waddle Dee Town, you know, goes way more often, which I do like to say at least. And like I said, Kirby is no stranger when it comes to transformation, but instead of having a lot of copy abilities, Kirby's Mouthful Mode definitely freshens up the entire gameplay aspect. Plus, how can I not forget about the bosses? The bosses are usually fun. Yes, there are certain objectives when you have to play the bosses and throughout levels, because throughout this entire game, whenever you play the main story, there's usually a lot of Waddle Dees around, and the only way you're supposed to get them all is by completing the level set objective. Like, for example, whenever you're at a level when it says you have to find 5 hidden Waddle Dees, but you also have to do other requirements achievements such as beating a boss in under 2 minutes, which you may think it seems simple when no, it's not really simple as you think, as it takes a lot of time, but it's definitely worth 100% in the game. I did finish it yesterday, so I'm pretty much far off from getting 100%. But another thing to keep out, but another way to, get out of the whole main story thing is to do some mini games and some side missions and collecting figures. The one aspect that of Kirby is collecting puzzles. The one thing of Kirby games that is usually shown is collecting collectibles. For example, Kirby Star Allies has puzzle pieces, but this time this consists of figures, and I must say collecting all the figures is usually a fun time, even though it can be a little tedious at times when you have to find a lot of figures throughout the levels and the worlds you're at. The bosses, like I said, are pretty fun as well, despite them being a little basic and easy, unless you're in, I don't know, like wild mode or something like that. I'm a casual gamer, so I've pretty much been playing it on Wild Breeze the entire time, so I hope you guys can understand that. Also, if you had another friend with you, then you can play the game with 2 players featuring Kirby and Bandana Wallaby, in which, yeah, it feels like Bandana Wallaby is pretty much becoming more of a prominent playable character, so it's really great to see it that way. And Meta Knight, and yes, I forgot, Meta Knight, and how can I not forget a Kirby game without the addition of Meta Knight and King Dedede? Yes, King Dedede is in this game, obviously enough, but for those who haven't really played throughout the entire game and wondered why King Dedede was in this game to begin with and what his role in the game is supposed to be, then I suggest just, everything else. But what happens whenever you beat the game? So, yeah, before I discuss throughout this entire thing, I want to let you know that, like I said, there are spoilers, so if you don't want to hear any spoilers, I highly suggest just skipping throughout the part, whether I stop saying the spoiler part, or, like I said, get out of the video as soon as you can. There is post-game content, actually, as there is another world where you have to go, and you can achieve something by doing a lot of, you get to play the entirety of each world again. I'm not going to really explain further on, but the post-game content is usually very interesting for those who want to collect all of the Waddle Dees, and especially getting all the rare stones. Speaking of rare stones, now, rare stones are now an addition to this game in order for you to upgrade your copy abilities. Yep, you can now upgrade copy abilities. I can't remember the one Kirby game. I can't remember the last Kirby game that you were able to upgrade your copy abilities from. I can't remember that, but upgrading your abilities can be a little tedious sometimes, unless you want to, able to get your abilities get more stronger, because the only way you're supposed to do that is by rare stones, in which you're only able to obtain them, whether it's by certain parts of the levels, or by doing treasure road. Basically, just using the copy abilities in order to obtain the treasure, in order to obtain the rare stones, in order for you to upgrade your abilities. Like I said, they are very limited. They are pretty much limited to having, copy abilities. There's only 12 to 14 in order for them to only increase the limited amount of numbers of mouthful mode. But the game, so now, with all the things said, the question is this game really worth it? Well, for those who want to keep things a little more easy and brief, then Kirby and the Forgotten Land is definitely for you. For those hardcore Nintendo fans, I can highly suggest that if you really want another 3D platformer game in your collection, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is one of them. This game is very fantastic. I enjoyed every part of it. The story, the stages, the bosses, and especially its post-game content. There's just a lot of things happening, and really, Kirby and the Forgotten Land is such a refreshment from just going through the 2D platforming thing with the mix of 3D models, and I liked that. Kirby Star Allies was great, and so was Kirby 3 Fighters 2, but Forgotten Land gave out a very nice and refreshing tone, and I really love everything about it. Just like with every Kirby game, how Laboratory and Nintendo really knows how to make such incredible games, because judging by how many reviews and critics said this, I can tell that this game is really one of the best ones out there, and so far for this year of Nintendo 2022. But with that, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. How do y'all think of Kirby and the Forgotten Land? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or do you just think that, or do you just like this game for its pretty much simplicity and cuteness overall? I want to know all your opinions and thoughts down below. And so with that, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos, follow me on Twitter, and if you guys do not want to subscribe, that is completely fine by me. And remember this, once a legend, always a legend. Like a Hellcat.